Listener discretion is advised.
School of Slay, an erotic novel written by Dan Newman, Alan Ross, and Matthew Divito. Day 21.
Maggots.
The next morning, I woke up at around 6 a.m. to get ready for school. I went to the bathroom to take a shower and to follow my morning routine. For some reason, the door was closed, even though everyone was asleep in the house. This kind of sketched me out, so I grabbed my nunchucks for defense. I yelled into the bathroom, "Open the door, you skank and/or scumbag!" The door was still dead silent. Too silent. I had to force the door open with my pure adrenaline and masculinity. As I opened it, I swung my nunchuck and I happened to be right all along. I hit the perpetrator in the dick. He started screaming and fell to the ground. Little did I know, it was Chris. Seeing Chris in my bathroom caught me off guard, which led to the nunchuck slipping out of my hands and making contact with his genitals again. After about 10 minutes of Chris bawling in my shit room, he finally returned to normalcy. I first asked him very politely to leave my house. He ignored me and continued to stare at me blankly. So I screamed, "Chris, get the fuck out of my house!" Chris continued to bawl and muttered out the words,
"Faggots on my dick."
I took a few seconds to stop and process what he was saying. I said, "I can't help you with that." His face turned as green as a Granny Smith apple, and he said, "Not faggots! I said maggots are in my dick hole!" I was speechless, and I just gave him a dirty look. He then went on to say, "I fucked the cow heart last night, and I feel them swarming around down there." He ripped off his pants and opened up his urethra, and there they were, white booger-looking things squirming around down there. I told him to tell the nurse when we got to school, so we quickly got ready and left. We arrived at the school and ran as fast as we could to the nurse's office. Miss Reynolds, the school nurse, gave a long, seductive stare before she said, "Well, what can I do for you, big boy?" Looking right at me. I responded by saying, "It's actually not for me this time. It's for my friend Chris." I could hear her curse under his breath as I continued, "Chris here has a fucked up dick. He has some white booger-looking shit inside of it." She told him to pull down his pants and said, "Let me take a look," and gave Chris a wink. As soon as his pants were down, she whipped his genitals out from his tight boxer briefs and just held his penis in her hand, studying it. She pulled open his urethra and gasped. She tightened her grip on his cock and looked up at him. "Can I suck it?" she asked. Chris gave her a blank stare and then shook his head no in confusion. She repeated her question, but louder this time. "Can I suck it?" Chris told her no. She said fine, and started to beat his meat. Chris freaked out and fell back on the bed behind him. She pounced on top of him and started giving him head. He started to cry uncontrollably, while I just sat there watching the whole thing go down. Chris just laid there crying and staring at me. Miss Reynolds was now jumping up and down and riding Chris like he was some kind of animal. In a way, it was kind of hot and turned me on. But I quickly lost my erection as I remembered that Chris had some nasty-ass white shit inside of his dick. Ew. Miss Reynolds pulled Chris up off the bed to his feet and started to jack him off with her mouth open and her tongue out. In a matter of seconds, Chris's face cringed as he was ejaculating all over Miss Reynolds' face. This was no ordinary cum. It was a mixture of semen and whatever was inside of his dick. Miss Reynolds seemed to really enjoy this as she was rubbing it all over her face. She left for the bathroom to wash up, quotation marks. Chris pulled up his pants and gave me the dirtiest look I've ever seen. I asked him what his problem was, and he responded by saying, "What's my problem? My problem is that I just got fucking raped, you dick!" His face was insanely red right now. I didn't know what to tell him, so I said, "Dude, I honestly thought you were into it. You really looked like you wanted to hit it. And who am I to stop a man from hitting that sweet pussy? Nah, I mean, dude?" Chris looked away and told me to go fuck myself, and I responded, "Gladly." Miss Reynolds returned, and told us that Chris had maggots inside of his urethra, and that she got some of them out, but that Chris should go see a real doctor. I didn't think that it was possible, but Chris's face actually got even redder, and he stormed out of the nurse's office crying again. I was on my way out of the nurse's office to catch up with Chris, but Miss Reynolds stopped me and said, "How about you, Mike? You want to go around? You know, just a quickie before class." I told her, "Sorry, Miss Reynolds, but I can't now. We're still on Saturday, though, right?" And she seductively licked her lips and responded, "Of course, big boy." Then I walked out and looked for Chris. The day went on pretty fast, and still no sign of Chris. Which was weird, because after last block, he was always waiting at my locker, ready to annoy the shit out of me with his bullshit stories you can tell that he made up. So I left school without waiting for him. Around 6:30ish, there was a knock at my front door.
Open the fucking door, you lazy piece of shit!
My mom yelled at me from the kitchen. My mom was always bitching at me, because I was too lazy, whatever that means. But to my surprise, when I opened the door, there stood Chris. "Yo, where the hell did your hair go, bro?" I managed to say as I was laughing. "I just wanted to tell you in person," he said. "I have maggots in my urethra, and I start my treatment tomorrow." "I know," I chuckled. "I was there when Miss Reynolds told you." Then I looked him in the eyes and saw that he was actually serious. "What are they doing to treat it?" I asked in a serious tone. He said, "I have 2 weeks of chemotherapy." Chemo? Why in the unholy fuck is he having chemo?
Really? Why don't they just, vacuum them out?
I asked. He told me he didn't know and then walked back to his car. What the